Great. So, yes, discrimination against young people, I think it's a social treatment of children in the school system. These are injustice that pains a lot. Poverty, yes, poverty makes me it's sad, It's something that vexes me every time I wake and see that we are still like people are still really poor. People can't afford to eat. Police brutality, yes. Police brutality is something that also gets me angry also. Because in Nigeria, like we still had like a major protest against police brutality, and it's just really sad. It's just really sad. So police brutality is a social injustice. People who are meant to protect us are not meant to hurt us. Gun violence, yes. Politics, yes. Corruption, yes. These are various. Exactly. True. By conventional schools, if done, yes, true. I believe that schools actually like constitutes like to a lot of injustice, even gender inequality, it's still like exactly. So now that we know all of these things that make us angry, it is important that we learn how we can be, rather than just complaining, it is important that we be part of the solutions to these challenges. Yes, racism. Thank you. Please let's just keep them coming. So you don't know, there might be someone who also is who is also angry about the same thing with you, and you can always partner, collaborate, and all of that. So what social injustice makes you angry? Like I said, kids being abandoned. Yes. Which brings us to the next question. So activists. So who is an activist? So I know a lot of people share again. So activists are here to bring about social, environmental, or political change. They do not take their time here for granted and are dedicated to leaving the world a better place than they found it. So you really do not have to be the next Matama. You don't have to be the next, Nelson Mandela. Yes, yes, that's true. So you don't have to be the next all of these things, but you can still be an activist as long as you are committed to making this world a better place than you met it. It means that you're an activist. So being an activist is not far-fetched. I realize that a lot of people think that they have to model or they have to copy someone before they be an activist. Or feel like they are just for passionate people. As long as they are trying to make this world a better place than you met it, then I think that you are an activist. You are an activist. So everyone is an activist. So activism is fighting against oppression, healing towards liberation. So it has two things. Activism is about two things. Major things: fighting against oppressions, different kinds of oppression, the things that make you angry, fighting against this social injustice that makes you angry, and healing towards liberation. So it's not just fighting against it. We have to ensure liberation also. Are we liberated from these things? So everybody is an activist. That's why this session was titled Youth Activism for Dummies. Basically, how can everyone be an activist? How can everyone begin to fight against the oppression and the things that gets them angry? You can fight against these things in your little way. So that's why we are here, and that's what we'll be discussing throughout this session. What are the various types of activism, and how can we, get engaged in these things? Yeah, domestic workers. We still have cheap labors. There has been various discussion. Thank you for sharing. There has been various discussion about some multinationals going to developing countries in the global south to just take advantage of domestic workers and not pay them well But then the goal is that we're not just coming here to share the things that get us angry, but here to also see how we can leave this world a better, or make this world a better place rather than we found it. So which brings me to the next thing that I'm going to share with us, which is the activist archetypes. So discover what activist you are and the kind of activist you want to be. So it is interesting and sweet that we all know that there's something that we are angry about, there's something that gets us angry. But then we all have been born, or we all have various talents, various skills that makes us special. We have things that we are naturally good at. So what the activist archetypes shows us are various types or various ways in which we can become an activist, and in which we can use our talent and our skill to become the kind of activist that we wish to be. So we have people who are called frontline activists. So these frontline activists are those that use direct action and collective mobilization as a way to create change. So someone who is a frontline activist, like, are those who are probably protesting right now at Scotland at the COP26, people like Greta Rosa Parks, and these are people who lead protests, marches, sit-ins, petitions, strike, they are energetic, they are the outspoken, they are the passionate ones, they are the ones that we see most of the time and think they are the only forms of activists. But I'm here to tell you that these are not the only form of activism that we have. It is not everyone who likes to lead protests. It is not everyone who has the ability to lead marches. Like we saw also that happened in the US, like the Black Lives Matter movement. We saw a lot of people leading this protest, around the world. These people are frontline activists. But we also had people who were also activists that didn't lead protests, that didn't lead marches, that didn't lead petitions. So there are various ways for us as young people to actually become activists. So there are various ways for us to become activists, aside being a frontline activist. So that's the interesting thing about that. So we have the weaver and community organizers. So there are people who love to build movements, create systems of change. They like to collaborate, movement building. They like their superpowers are organizational skills, connector of people. They love to just connect. And a role model here is Martin Luther King Jr. So for example, I would say someone like Richard is a community organizer with what he's trying to do with the Youth Rights Day, to say that, oh, let's collaborate, let's come together, let's talk to people about what the Youth Rights Day is, let's inspire people, and talk to these people and organize people. You can drop idea about what you want to do about your Youth Rights Day movement and all of that. So that's an example of someone we all know, or most people know. And we all also should know Martin Luther. So these are people who are also activists in their own way. You need not go into the big community, but even where your place of work, your small community too, anywhere where you have people, that you care about and you can organize them into movements, you are a community organizer or a weaver, which is also a form of activism. So we have learned two activism so far. We have learned frontline activism, and I have learned the weaver kind of activism. Which brings me to the third form of activism that we're going to be looking at today. It is the activist entrepreneur. So these entrepreneurs, they have a way of, yes, I think someone requested for a transcript so that they can see, I guess, so that they can read what I'm saying. Maybe I'm too fast or something. If I'm too fast, please let me know. And all of that, I would really appreciate, so I can slow down because of the accent and language barrier that might be happening. But that's why we also have transcripts, so that we can also follow as I speak. So we have the activist entrepreneur. So these are people who believe that they must use business solutions and social enterprises to solve the major injustice against them. So for example, for people who live in Nigeria, who actually, and many other developing nations, who know that poverty is a social injustice that gets them angry, something they can be is that they can become an activist entrepreneur. We create businesses and maximize the talent and the opportunities that we have. The problems. So example of a role model in this place is Mohammed Yunus. So Professor Mohammed Yunus is the CEO of Grameen Bank, and he did a lot with the women, with the women in India in terms of empowering them and giving them small loans. So these are various ways in which we can actually become activists. So we've mentioned three now. We've mentioned the frontline activist, the community organizer or the weaver, and we have the activist entrepreneur. So which brings me to the next form of activist archetype that we have, which is the activist artist. They create change through activism, that is art that carries a social change message. The tools of change, are creative expression, activism. It could be any form of art. There are some people that they find more expression in writing poems. There are some people that they find more expression in writing stories. There are some people that they find more expression in drawing. There are some people that they find more expression in dance. There are some people that, basically all forms of art and creativity. So these people love to express themselves, and they are activists because they're creating social change. I know we all know people who have made music. For example, the Global Citizen Festival that happens every year, where they bring artists to sing various songs and all of these things. These are things that help us to the things that we have in our environment, to the things that gets us angry. There are some people who write wonderful poems. There's this popular poem by Nelson Mandela loves a lot, and he used to recite that poem and used to read that poem while he was in prison. And he, when he got out, he shared it with everyone. It's these are things that help us sometimes express ourselves. And we have some role models here like Nina Simone and George Orwell. Nina Simone sang about a lot of things, a lot of social injustice against women, against Black, and all of those things. So this is also another type of activism. So we should not just think that being a frontline activist is the only way to be an activist, or thinking that, being a that's the purpose of this session, because you are supposed to learn new things. I'm supposed to also learn new things from you. So we have frontline activists, we have community activists, we have the activist entrepreneur, we have the activist artist, and we actually still have more. We have the activist storyteller. So I bring stories to life to create awareness and influence others to join in the positive social change efforts. So these are people who use media, public speaking, documentaries, and all of these wonderful things to tell stories, to support and create awareness about certain things that they believe in. So I'm very sure at some point or the other, we have seen documentaries about communities. We have seen documentaries about social rights movements. I'm very sure that at some point or the other, someone made a film about Hitler. Someone made a film about, Churchill. Someone made a film about Mandela. These are people who believe that if you can watch all of these movies, you can change the world. You can believe. Someone somewhere thought about it one day and said, "Oh, let's work with Ben Carson and let's create a movie called Gifted Hands, or let's write a Gifted Hands story." These are things that some people just know how to do. They are wonderful storytellers, and they create awareness by using social media campaigns, writing, documentary, public speaking, and all of that. It's also a form of activism. So you might not be naturally a frontline activist, or you might not be a community builder. You might not be an entrepreneur, as we see. You might not be an activist artist, but you can be a storyteller. You can tell stories. You can communicate with people. You can tell the stories of lives of people. So that's one interesting thing. And a role model is Gloria Steinem. So they actually tell wonderful stories. They tell wonderful, wonderful, wonderful stories. Which brings us to the next, the activist scholar. I engage in knowledge production with the purpose to further positive social change. And I think this activist scholar, a very popular institution that supports and promotes activist scholars is the Nobel Prize, where they try to recognize, scholars whose research and whose knowledge have changed the world in economics, in medicine, in peace, and a lot of things. Exactly. Yes, you could start calling yourself a JavaScript actually. It sounds nice. So, but activist scholars basically, they are the ones who believe that through their research, their knowledge, what they do and everything, they can begin to change the world. And the role models, they try to write, these are people who like to go to research conferences, who like to write research papers, who just love knowledge, who believe that their knowledge can change the world. Now, role models here are Karl Marx, and Webb. It's interesting that these people, the theories that they formed, in economics, in everything is changing the world that we currently live. So you might not be a frontline activist, you might not be a community weaver, you might not be an artist, you might not be a storyteller, you might not be an entrepreneur, but you could be a scholar, you could be someone that likes research, that likes to read, that likes to do historical analysis, and a lot of things like that. You can also be an activist because, as we all agreed at the beginning, the main goal of an activist is to what? Is to change or make this world a better place than they met it. Which brings us to the next type of activists that we have, which is the policy or political activist. The policy or political activist. Basically, what these people do is that they work to bring about social change through policy change. These are people who are so much inclined into policy. They want to become politicians. They want to change the world. They want to affect a lot of conversations are happening. Legal actions, lobbying, government councils, and so many other things. Someone you can call a political activist or a policy activist is Barack Obama. You wanted to change. Yes, we can. We can change these things. And other senators, the people who come to your house, like the mayor in your environment, the governor, the local government chairman, and all of these people. These are people who actually want to want to bring about social change through policy changes. There have been various conversations happening in various parts of the world. Something like conversations around pro-choice, conversations around racism, conversations around climate action, conversations about quality education. But there are some people that their own form of activism is to change the world through what are they calling? Through policies, to change the world through policies, through legal actions and engaging with the government. So can we see an example here is Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I really admire this woman a lot because she does a lot in terms of policy. And we have Nelson Mandela, who later became a president and after going to prison and all of that. So I'm very sure that we are getting revelations and interesting things from this session. Yes, we will try to provide the recording actually. So, and we have the grassroots, the place-based or grassroots activists. So these are people that take action where they are, whether that is in the workplace, in the school or neighborhood. So these are people, that role model that you have on your street or in your community that helps those children who are out of school or that helps those children who are out of their houses. That person that gives food to the poor, the person that tries so much to help their neighbors. These are local or grassroots-based activists. That's why even in non-profits, we have various kinds of education. We have the local or community-based organizations. We have the regional organizations or non-profits. We have the global and international non-profits. So these are people that these grassroots activists or place-based are people that believe in, the small environments that they live. People like Mother Teresa, Mary Slessor, that we have in Nigeria one time that came to abolish the killing of twins. So these are people that just did it in a very small community, but at the end of the day, people started adopting this thing globally. So a role model is which, it's a wonderful local-based grassroots activism that really changed the lives of people. So that's an interesting one. And which brings me to the next one, who is the spiritual activist. a lot of people do not really know that their spirituality could be some form of activism. So, and who is a spiritual activist? They aim to bring inward focused work of spiritualism with the outward focused work of activism. So there are tools of change is love, kindness, presence, meditation, healing. These people love presence. They love to show love. And an example of someone here is Dalai Lama. He even has a fellowship program for young, people who have brilliant ideas, where it teaches them how to become excellent leaders, how to win the world, and all of that. And we have Archbishop Desmond Tutu from South Africa. This man, because of his spirituality and the things that he does to impact the environment, he won the Nobel Prize, for peace while he was still alive. So these are little things that can make us change the world despite being an activist. So you can be a spiritual activist. We have many others. I know that there are some spiritual activists who are actually like at the forefront of the LGBTQ plus rights, who believe that we should show love, kindness, there should not be discrimination. There are spiritual activists who are at the forefront of racism, and saying that, we should show love, we should preach kindness, and many of these things. We have spiritual activists who advocate for mental health, who believe that we should have like a mental rights, who are mental rights advocates, because they believe that spiritual wellness also affects mental wellness and all of these things. So you can, as long as you're making this world a better place, you're an activist, and you can do these things in various ways. Which brings me to the next form of archetype that we have. It is the care activist, actually. These are people who show up consistently for those who need care the most. So these are, I like to call grandmas these forms of activists because I just think grandmothers are so wonderful in terms of caring and showing love, So these are people who active care presence, especially the youngest, the most vulnerable, volunteering, philanthropy. These are people who think that they can show care to people who don't feel loved. Their superpowers are unconditional love. That's why I said grandmas. Sometimes, no matter how naughty we are, they try to show us love and care, around. So, and empathy, resilience, these are people who show love despite, and are just nice to us. And a role model here is Mother Teresa, for the wonderful work that she did. So these are these are people who just really care. That is the care activist is the person that will take dinner to the person who doesn't have a home, who is on the streets. The person that would pronounce that it is very cold in most of this in Northern America. The care activist is someone that will be like, there are so many people dying of cold. Let's give them a coat. Let's give them something to keep them warm. Let's bring them to our fireplace and all of these things. There are people who are naturally inclined to these things. And this person might not get so much recognition like Malala would get, who is a frontline activist, or Greta would get, who is a frontline activist, or the kind of recognition and media presence that someone like Martin Luther would get, or someone like, Nina Simone would get. But they are activists because they are making the world a better place. They are solving what makes them hungry. If what makes you angry is the fact that children go to bed hungry, and what you do is that you try to feed children in your streets, on your neighborhood, you try to give them sandwich, you try to give them water, you're an activist, you're a care activist, and you deserve all accolades that every form of activist you see out there that they deserve. So like the main goal of this session, really, of this workshop, of this conversation, is for us to see how we all can leave this world a better place without having to just streamline ourselves and think that, I can only become a frontline activist. I can only become a community builder. There are various forms of activism that we can engage in. So brings me to the next thing. So yes, so it's time for us to break out. I really hope I'm able to form breakout session here. And I would like to sure, no problem, dude. Thank you for supporting. These are the things that we want to see. People who are leading change and supporting people. Thank you very much. It really means a lot. So I would like to split us into breakouts now. And sorry, I like to we have 25 people here. So I would like to put us in breakouts of, let's say, I'd like to put us in the breakouts of 3. So obviously, I'd like to put us in the breakout of 3 so that we all can share our various activist archetypes and why. So, and please, sure, no problem, no problem. So I would like us to, share our activist archetypes with people who are in our breakouts, and learn more also about their own activist archetypes and why. So I would, sorry, I'm trying to, okay, so we all will be assigned into breakouts now. So let's join our breakouts, and the main question for us is to, what are your activist archetypes? What are your activist archetypes and why? What do you think are your activist archetypes and why? So I would really appreciate if we can have these conversations. Feel free to. Yeah.
Hi, Eri.
Yeah, hi, Apana. Can you hear me?
I'm fine. How do you pronounce your name?
You just did it well. The same way you pronounced it.
Yeah, hi, Eri. All you, let me just try and pronounce your first name, okay? Let me
Yes, yes.
just try and pronounce your first name. I'll say Eri, all you are.
Yeah. Hi, Peter. Welcome. We are actually having breakout sessions now, so that's why. So in case you see that, we have like so.
Hi,
So we're having.
Peter.
Hello.
Peter, I wanted to thank you for, sending me the links for today's session and for tomorrow's session also, Peter.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm really glad that you can join us, and thanks for taking the time to do that.
Yeah, I feel very fortunate that I'm part of this group. Actually, I need to thank Richard because he's the one, who shared all the information prior to me coming to know about AEROx and the youth, the World Youth Day, which is going to be on the 20th of November.
Yeah.
So Richard is the person who actually introduced me or got me into this. So I'm thankful to him. And I'm also thankful to Peter and Eri too. Eri, your slides were really good.
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
really connected with Mother Teresa and all the other slides. And some of the figures I knew about, I've heard their names, but I've not read much about them. Like Erin Brockovich.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard the name, but I've not read about them.
Wow.
But
I'm actually glad that you enjoyed it.
I know Rosa Parks. I know Rosa Parks very well because I was in the US for 20 years. So I know who Rosa Parks is, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela. But I know Erin, I heard the name Erin Brockovich. But I would like you to tell me what did Erin do exactly?
Okay, so I would share everything with everyone. I'm just trying to
Go
get
ahead.
people out rooms so that we can so that we can bring them back to the main session. So if you don't mind. Thanks. All right. I don't know why, Peter. I don't know if you can still see. I can't find anyone. I can't find the breakout option anymore.
Find the what?
I can't find the breakout like options anymore. And just close the breakouts. I don't know. Can you see it from your end?
Oh, you mean to put people in the room or to end the room?
Like to bring them back into the room.
You should be able to. Can you see the box where it says close all rooms?
I can't see it anymore. I guess because you're the host, so that's giving you that.
Yeah, but I made you see. That's weird. I made you the host. All right. Do you want to close the rooms? Because I can close the rooms.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yes, please.
It gives them like a minute. It tells them that it's going to close. So.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, are you still here? So I would start with the some of the activists I shared. So Nelson Mandela is an activist that lived in South Africa, fights for the apartheid movement, and he just really, and he later became president. That's who Nelson is. Nina Simone is a singer. So welcome everyone. It's so good to have us back. We keep waiting for others to join us. I hope our breakout was interesting. I hope it was enough time for us to bond and learn about the things that we deeply care about, the things that gets us angry, and the social injustice basically in our environment that gets us angry. We were 22 before we entered the breakout rooms. So let's wait for that number to get back. All right. Let's just wait for 1 more minute. No. Okay, so Peter, I would like to know if we still have people in breakout who have not left yet.
It looks like everybody's back from the breakouts.
Whoops, wonderful. so good that we have everyone back. So I would just like few people to probably raise their hands and just, if you were in a particular breakout and you like to share the activist archetypes, that you learned or of other people in your breakout session and all of that. I would really appreciate if anyone is willing to, share what they learned in their breakout and why people are passionate about the break or why people have that particular activist archetype. So who wants to go first? Basically, just a share back of what happened in the breakout room. So, anyone? All right, Grace. Okay. Yeah. Yes, you can have it.
Okay, so in our breakout room, we didn't talk too much about the specific archetypes, but we talked more about how kind of the evolution of somebody within their journey as an activist could change from different and adopt different archetypes based on what organization they're in or what role they're playing. And what I know I really liked from your presentation was kind of how each role was important. So just because you didn't want to be like the leader of the protest or the movement doesn't mean that your nurturing side couldn't be brought out and different things like that. So it was quite good. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm glad that you saw it that way. So that's the truth. Like you also evolve in your process, in your journey of activism. So for example, today I could be a frontline activist, and tomorrow in my journey I can be like an entrepreneur activist. I can begin to work in businesses. And tomorrow I can say, okay, I think I have a Picasso, hidden Picasso in me, and begin to paint, and say, okay, I want to be an activist artist, So it's a whole lot of, and tomorrow I can say, okay, I want to turn to the next, I want to become the next Tyler Perry and begin to write stories, and begin to shoot movies, for social reasons. So basically, we can evolve with time. So who wants to share again, what happened in their breakouts? Yeah. Who else wants to share? Or were the discussions so precious that we wouldn't like to share them with everyone? It would be nice for us to hear like feedback, from each breakout at least. So, anyone else? Oh, interesting. Yeah. So yeah, you can go. Yeah, sure. Share.
Hi. Do you want to speak up at all? Okay, I'm going to speak up for my young activist here. We were just talking about how the idea of even attending this conference felt really scary for a lot of the young people I work with the idea that the only way to be an activist is to be on the front line at protests or things like that felt scary for whatever reason. And we're just really valuing the fact that all these different ways of contributing positively towards change into the world are being acknowledged, because it makes it easier then to identify the different types and really feel empowered to stay activist over here. It was really valuable, I think, to that seen and recognized. So thank you so much for this.
I'm glad that you mentioned that. So I think that's why when I was thinking and when I was talking to Hadi about this particular session, it was some of the things that I was thinking about. I feel like a lot of young people, because of the things that have happened with Black Lives Matter, and because of many frontline activists, a lot of young people are shying away from activism or even making impact, because they are scared for their lives. They feel it's boring, they feel it's risky, and so many other things. But there are various ways in which we all can become like activists. Thank you for sharing that. It's really, really wonderful. So, and I'm glad that we all know our activist archetypes now and why. which brings me to next thing, Youth by Youth. So I don't know. So this session was in partner with Youth by Youth, and basically we are a community. Yes. So Youth by Youth is a global community of young activists and adult allies, because we believe that for us to have a better world, it has to be intergenerational. A lot of young people think that they can't do it on their own, which I believe that they have the potentials and the power to. But it would be nice for us to also work with adult allies who have experience, things that we have not, or who have some knowledge that we have not because they are better, but so that we can liberate and collaborate together, so that they can learn from us and we also can learn from them. So that's why we have young youth activists and adult allies at Youth by Youth, dedicated to the imagination and transformation of education for collective liberation. So we have Richard mentioned something about, schools, what the things schools do, conventional schools do, and how it annoys him. That's a social injustice that really annoys him. And I can see a lot of people also say, oh yes, I resonate with that. So what we do at Youth by Youth is to bring people like that together who actually have the same goal, and they can talk together, they can communicate, they can collaborate and work on their projects, and support each other. So like we said, our goal is to accelerate the process of young people influencing, designing, and transforming their learning experiences and education system. So like this AEROx conference, I know it was youth-led. I know Hadi, I knew a lot of people, basically the adult allies that we had, we're basically just supporting, with their networks, with their reach and everything, but it was majorly youth-led. So that's one of the things that we do at Youth by Youth, to ensure that there is that community of young activists, and adult allies dedicated to that, to that transformation process. So, and another interesting thing about Youth by Youth, that yes, our vision, I just shared everything to us already. So, and yes, so we have this. So, globally, rapidly, this is what we are trying to do: educate adult-supported revolution and evolution of our education, because we believe in young activists at the forefront and also having adult allies. That's the only way we can transform education at a global scale. So that's one way it's going to be. Yes. I will provide the slides after this session and email everyone who registered for the session, I think, or give it to the organizers. They would get the slides to you. So so if you want to reach out to us, you can check our website, www.youthbyyouth.com, youthbyyouthactivist@gmail.com, or you can also, send me an email, or I think it's provided already, like in the website, I think on the directory. I'm the global community organizer at Youth by Youth, so I'll be glad to meet you. We have yes, as long as it's stated that you got the slides from the AEROx conference and Youth by Youth, so I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. So so it will be nice for us to to connect afterwards, to learn the kind of activism or your various activist archetypes, what you are doing, the projects that you are doing. It would be nice for us to connect with you at Youth by Youth. We have monthly community calls that we actually organize. That we do that every month, so you can always sign up on our website for these things, and would actually look forward to seeing you at our monthly community calls, our programs where people just connect together, adult allied youth activists, and try to reimagine the future of education. So if you know that you're interested in education, you want to transform education and you're looking for the best place to start and connect with people, I think Youth by Youth is the best place to start. The same way we have broken down the activist archetypes and different ways, it's the same way we have different ways to become an education activist. So thank you very much. I really do appreciate. I'll stop sharing my screen now so I can see everyone's faces. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, excellent. So I'm glad to finally see everyone's faces. I was just busy looking at the slides. So yeah. So if you have any question, love to ask. Exactly. For the slides, I would send the slides to the organizers, and since everyone is a registered participant, I'm very sure the slides will get to us. So there will be an email. I'm very sure there will be a feedback email or follow-up email afterwards. So I'm very sure that we all will get emails. So exactly, and I think that's the goal. That's the goal of the activism. We can always find our strengths, our talents and things that we resonate with. So if you have any form of addition, comment, you can unmute your microphone, to also share with us. We have about 3 minutes left to the end of this session. This session is supposed to take us, I think, 1 hour, so that we can prepare for other sessions and attend other sessions, I think. So let's feel free to share our activist archetypes, connect the things that gets us so hungry and so many other things. Yes, I mentioned her name at the beginning. I said Malala. I think I gave her as an example when I was mentioning the Frontline Activists. She's at the front line, of all of these things. So yeah. So let's share, our various activist archetypes, or we can read. Thank you very much. The slides will get to you. I really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you so much. I would send the slides to the organizers, and everyone will get the slides to the session. So yeah. Thank you.
Harvey, did you want to say something? I saw a hand up.
Sure. I was just wondering how you got started with your own activism. Maybe I missed at the beginning, or maybe you already shared that. But sorry, that's my son's name, by the way. My name's Heather. Sorry.
All right. Great. So I would share mine. So I live in Nigeria, like I said, it is in Africa. So we actually have a couple of things that gets me angry. So I didn't know they were really activism in that sense. I didn't know I was, but I just knew that I didn't like the fact that people who were my schoolmates or people who were my age range were not going to school. The knowledge, and I saw that, oh wow, what I've been doing all this while was activism. So that's it. So that's how I started my journey. And since then I have grown to build communities, communities of teachers, learning communities, I just keep building communities because I really believe that it's the way I enjoy to make the world a better place. When I can connect people, give them access to resources, opportunities to learn, and opportunities to grow. So that has been my activism journey since. So that's what I'm sharing with everyone also, to hope that we all begin to also explore our various activist archetypes, begin to make the world a better place, because that's the goal, to leave the world a better place than we met it. You don't have to be at the front line. You could just be extending that next help to your neighbor. It could be using your heart, it could be using your business, it could be using your stories, it could be anything really. So I really hope this session has achieved this aim, to tell us more about activism and to debunk the myths that most people might have about activism, and to also encourage people to also become activists. So who has something else to share? I would really be glad to, start.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for coming. Ariolua, that was amazing. Thank you so much for offering your time and your energy, and yeah, your beautiful energy. I'm feeling it all the way across on the other side of the world. So So thanks, and thanks for everyone for being here. I'll just let you all know what's happening next. So there's going to be a half an hour break, so y'all can go get some food or go to the bathroom, drink some water, take care of your bodies. And the next sessions, well, there's actually 2 sessions coming up. One is called Poverty Across the Globe. So that's about, that will be Mahi, Addie, and Carlos be talking about global poverty. And then we'll have another session with Praja about design thinking. So that'll be actually 15 minutes past the hour, 11:15 a.m. EST, which is, if you go onto the webpage, there's a little convert to my time zone. So I think that's in 45 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. So I think, and also you can always go back to the main room and just hang out there. Is that right, Peter? Or is this the main room?
Yes. No, you can go out to the main room. Actually, a really quick update. For some reason, the original Zoom links are not letting people into the room. So what we'll do is we have I reached out to our web person, and he may be able to update them. If not, what we'll do is in the main room, we'll just put the links in there, the new links. Really don't know what happened. We've been doing it this way for like years, and I don't know, it's just not letting people in. So we've created some new links. So when you come into the main room, you'll have the new links there. We may be able to get it updated before.
I can update them, Peter.
Yeah, so I actually, I sent you an email. I'm going to send you the spreadsheet. I'm just updating it real quick right now. I did reach out to Anthony, but I think he's on the West Coast, so he may not be up yet.
Probably still sleeping.
Right, yeah. So, thank you, everybody. So the main room will be open, and we'll get this all sorted out. It's, online conferences are great, but this is kind of the one thing that happens sometimes with the technology, so. All right, so we will see you all soon.
To get into the main room, just click on the link, the opening and welcome, the first one you clicked on, to get back to there. Bye. See y'all around.
All right.
Thanks, Peter.